a violation of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who in Congress is willing to tackle that? You see what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
The average American is in a bind. You know, I have a great respect for the average American. Hard worker, very patriotic. You know, they pay their taxes and they do their damnedest to keep things together. Economically, they're not in pretty good shape right at the moment. Well, there are a few at the top who are. But the average guy is having a hell of a time making a living and making ends meet. And I have respect for those people out there. And them I've said it again till I'm almost blue in the face, Lou. They not only have a right to know this information, they have a need to know. I've said it again, that this is the greatest story in human history. And if it's told, if it could be told, if someone with courage in government decides at some point to tell the truth on this thing, that in itself, in my opinion, I think will bring about an expansion of consciousness. I think people need that. I think they need to know, first of all, they're not alone. That would make a hell of a difference about your worldview.
I think you're right. I mean, Bob, I got to say this. I mean, so many different areas of UFOs I covered, and so many people that I've interviewed. I mean, I've interviewed ghost people. You know, I go out and investigate hauntings and whatnot. I know how people are. When somebody comes on and talks from their heart and talks, you know, that they're not bringing up a crock, you can kind of tell.
Oh yeah,
you can
tell by listening to someone whether they're coming from, whether they're being honest about it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible to know that the possibility is out there that we are not alone and that we probably aren't alone. There's evidence to support that. But I think what it's going to take, it's not going to take... honestly, I just think it's going to take something to happen like a UFO landing or a couple of them landing somewhere. And because of how the media is now, we get information within seconds about... fires in the most remote parts of the country or whatnot, that once something like that happens, I think there's going to be a realization that all this stuff that everybody's been talking about with UFOs is actually reality.
Well, let me tell you something, Lou. Landings have happened again and again and again, repeatedly, all over the damn world since, the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
There have been crashes, there have been landings, there have been face-to-face confrontations, there have been conversations. I mean, that has happened again and again and again. But most of that information has never gotten out, has never been released, and the little bit of it that does seep out, there's always a bunch of professionals over there somewhere that are responding to the incident, and it's designed to make the witnesses, whoever they might have been, and we're talking about witnesses who have been cops and military officers, people in the community, judges, people like that. There are people who will show up on the scene, and by the time it's all over with, they'll make everybody look like an idiot. And the next thing you know, it disappears. It just absolutely disappears. The media will not touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been brought up and beautifully written with the young Terry Hansen in his book, The Missing Times. He's referring to the fact that, the New York Times as well as the others, what's missing? What's missing is open and honest reporting about these incidents. I think really at this point that whether this comes out any time within the next 10 or 20 or 50 years, it's probably in the hands of the guys upstairs, whoever the hell they are. I think they could probably bring it to a head if they would. From what I've been able to piece together, they have tried, gently, carefully, without trying to shake everything up and without trying to cause hysteria. They've been showing themselves. They've been flying all over the place. My God, the films that are available of them, and the first-hand reports from cops, military officers, and such are overwhelming. But the average person doesn't know because there is a program underway. And it has been since 1961 when the Brookings Institute published its famous study. In 1961, the Brookings Report determined that if this became a reality and if this became beyond a doubt, that governments would probably not want to let this out, because the Brookings study determined in 61 that it would probably be so disruptive to society that governments would decide, no, we're going to keep this under wraps. And I think it's been government policy, Lou, since 1961.
Do you find that with...
Look what the Air Force did to the people at Roswell who had first-hand experiences. Look what they tried to do to Jesse Marcel. Bless his heart, he's in his grave now.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody who had first-hand experiences there not only ran into a stone wall, but they were threatened with their lives. This is how serious some of these intelligence agencies and some of these military organizations, I think, feel about this. They've got to keep the lid on this thing because the story is simply too damn big.
Well, would you say that maybe in the past 5 to 7 years...
I don't
know. I'm saying, would you say within the last 5 to 7 years? And I'm saying this because
Hold on, Lou, just a moment. I'm having some hearing problems here.
Okay.
Let me turn my hearing aid up here.
All right.
All right, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, I got it. Much better.
What I'm saying is within the last 5 to 7 years, and I don't know if this is just coincidence or what it is, but, you know, we're seeing all these alien dolls and alien action figures and alien this and alien that. I mean, is that something that maybe you think we're getting prepped and primed to accept that in the event that something happens where it's out in the open and people don't get scared, it's just that they're accepting it?
No, I think that's primarily just the result of marketing.
Okay.
I think a bunch of guys have got the idea that, you know, they could make a few bucks on this thing, and that's what that basically is. Now, there does seem to be a very subtle and gentle release of information, but it's not what you would expect. I refer to a study that was done here about 1.5 years ago. As Peter Sturrock, who is a brilliant astrophysicist at Caltech, wrote a book, conducted a study called The UFO Enigma. Sturrock was funded by Lawrence Rockefeller. And Sturrock tried to do an honest scientific piece of work on it. And that kind of thing, I believe, is in its own way a form of disclosure. Dolan's book, National Security State, Henson's book, The Missing Times, all of those, I believe, are part of a gentle and subtle disclosure process. Now, whether that's government orchestrated or not, I don't know.
So how do you think it's possible that this information, these documents, all the evidence that we have to support the existence of interdimensional beings and extraterrestrials and whatnot come out?
How does it come out?
Yeah, how can we get it to come out?
Well, I think the work of people like yourself. I think the work of people like Art Bell. You know, the programs like yours do more, I think. You're more powerful than you might realize. There still is, although it's hard to find anymore, a little bit of a free press. You're not going to find it in our major news media. You're not going to find it in the big news corporations.
Mm-hmm.
There's no free press there. But programs like yours, work like people like Sturrock, books by people like Michael Mannion, a young man who's written a brilliant book called Project Mindshift. He titles it The Re-Education of the American Public Concerning Extraterrestrial Life. Those little bits and pieces of work, I think, are making a difference.